Project Care is Infinity's project management solution. Our Project Care experts will assure you that you get the best products for your project, because it is not just your project, it is very much our dream. Project Care ensures stringent adherence to European quality norms, timely deliver Infinity's technical design support solution. Our expert professionals take a holistic safety, sustainability and aesthetics array of consultancy reports. You get the satisfaction that your dream is in safe hands. With Infinity, you get the best of both worlds. Scientific expertise and project management expertise to transform your dreams. Start your transformation journey today and live your dreams. Welcome to Infinity. Welcome.
Come. Come, the press is good. I'm going to
It's a project.
Just the latest, that is firm SDA has won the LEAF World Future Building of 2015, being the overall winner of the MIPIM Architectural Review Future Projects 2014 at Cannes, France, and winning 5 A+ Architizer Awards in New York in 2016, 2014, and 2013. Welcome, Sanjay, and over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm very, very honored to be a part of a vital conversation, one that I think we are blessed to have, because I think knowing better will mean we will act better. So, Sanjay, thank you for joining us. I know it was a very last-minute thing, but you've been very gracious and kind to accept this and have this conversation with me. I hope to discover a lot through you, and I hope that some of the people seated here will understand why I do what I'm doing relentlessly.
Yes, actually I had to cancel something, but anyway.
Aren't you happy you had to cancel it? You get to talk to me, Sanjay.
I'm very happy.
Good.
Why do you think I cancelled it? So I was told that you're going to have this conversation in the fireplace with Dia Mirza, and I said, in my mind I said, why Dia Mirza? And then I started Googling her and seeing the relevant work that she's done towards, greening, towards sending public messages for sustainability, for recycling, and especially that earth message that he sent across. That was brilliant. Those DI tracks moving and the words across. So the message there was that recycling is really important, and she's actually, there's so many causes that she's fighting for that it's really interesting to know. And then I found out that her father is an architect as well.
Yes, he was. That's true. I grew up amidst models. Not the variety that I eventually became, but the ones that everybody in this room knows really well. Sandpapering furniture, understanding design, and I actually have to share something very personal with you today, which I think will put into perspective my need to do what I do and to use the opportunity of the platform that life has provided me with, which is communication, to help improve people's awareness about climate change, about the need for sustainability, and create an environment of harmony and balance. My father didn't want to have a child. He had decided over 35 years ago that he would not produce a child because he believed that the world was going to hell, and that he thought it was unfair to bring an innocent being into a world that would not have clean water and clean air and a quality of life that he believed every human being, every living being must have, because that's what nature has bestowed upon us naturally, for free. And I am 35 years old, recently married, and I see myself posed with the same fear, asking the same questions, whether this world that we currently live in is one in which I would like to bring an innocent being into. And especially because I'm an urban dweller, I live in a city, I can't afford to up and leave to the mountains or to a greener environment that would have cleaner air and cleaner water.
In the midst of a concrete. I hate to use the word jungle because spaces that are jungles, because they don't really reflect the truth of the jungles. And what I'm sure is that every living being is connected. So I don't believe I'm living here. I want to be with the serious threat that I think, which is the risk to health, the risk to life, and the risk conversation here today, Sanjay, will give us the opportunity to explore how much better can
Discover some of the challenges that you face as an architect in convincing people why it's important and pertinent to create an ecological balance in development, in the living spaces that you create for people. Because I think that what becomes very, very evident every time there is any kind of discourse on environmental conservation or finding a balance, or when development is discussed, people say there will always be collateral damage. Trees will be cut for roads to get built. That is the collateral damage. And it's always a conversation between them and us. Government bodies perceive environmentalists as them. They're the bad guys. They are the spanner in the wheel. They don't allow things to move forward. When in fact, I think what they're actually trying to do is save everyone and save everybody from the threat of loss of life, loss of health, degeneration, and the rest. And I think, and this comes from a lack of awareness and a lack of understanding. So please tell me, as somebody who has won so many awards for the extraordinary work you've done, you've gone to so many places, you've done such amazing work, what is the one challenge that you always face in convincing the people that you're doing projects for that what you want to do is the right thing to do?
We were just discussing this earlier. When in an architectural project, if 100% is about doing the project right, 5% is doing the design, 60% is convincing the client that what you're doing is right and is good for the ecology and for the environment, and the balance 40% is actually seeing the project come through the way it is envisaged, especially in India. Just to put in perspective, Bombay has grown from 20,000 acres 4 decades ago to 150,000 acres. But look at Pune. At the same time, it has grown from 2,000 acres to 111,000 acres. That's huge. So what's happening is, Pune used to be this little city that people used to travel 3.5 hours to go. But now, if you leave Bombay and you go towards Pune, it's almost like you haven't left the city, because there's, except for the little mountain in the middle, which you have to cross, Bombay has extended all the way, Pune has extended all the way. In the process, all the natural resources have been removed. And convincing a developer to create landscape spaces that are required is
have you ever told
a
somebody
Herculean
not
task.
to build here? That you should not be building here? Have you
I
ever
have.
told somebody?
I have. Because sometimes the site is so beautiful, you don't want to build anything there. But coming back to that, so most developing countries, or most developed countries, have a lot of work which is done by the government, and they do the master plans, and then there are portions and parcels given to other people. In India, unfortunately, 95% of it is done by private developers, and private developers are essentially working towards profit. So,
But a skewed idea of profit, which is essentially short-term
yes,
money,
yes.
right? But not long-term sustainability, and that is also of their own life and livelihood.
Just one simple thing like orienting windows in an office towards the north especially in India, in all the places like Rajasthan, Maharashtra, so many places where temperatures are in excess of 35 degrees through 8 months of the year. And you have the builder telling you that, उसमें मेरे को क्या फायदा होगा? आपने तो ऐसे कर दिया, उसमें मेरे को क्या फायदा होगा? And I want, Vastu correct is more important for me than orienting the windows northwards.
But why should the windows be northwards?
Because
I'm just breaking it down for people who don't understand this to understand it better.
Because throughout the year, in a place like Rajasthan or Gujarat, the sun is in the southern hemisphere. So while it moves from east to west, it's always in the southern hemisphere. And if you orient towards the north, you have no heat gain. So there is actually a 27% reduction in air conditioning cost alone if you do that. But what are we doing? Rajasthan, if you've been to Jaipur, Udaipur, any of these cities recently, 80% of what has been built now in the last decade is wraparound curtain glass buildings for offices.
All wrong for the place.
Absolutely. Look at BKC. Look at Gurgaon Meroli. Everywhere in India is wraparound glass. Why do you need it?
It's wrong.
It's completely wrong.
It brings me to a very, very valid thing that I think we should ask of ourselves, given that I'm surrounded by a community that is going to be responsible for building a lot more. I was in West Bengal earlier this year, and I visited the Santhal village. And these are indigenous people, they've been living there for hundreds of years. They have the most sustainable way of living. They live in earthen homes, and architects from across the world come to study their architecture, on how they build and they live. And I was talking to the locals living there, and they were telling me how people from Sweden, from Denmark, from other parts of the world were coming and meeting them and actually taking their artisans away to create the homes that they had built there. Now, in the name of progress and urbanization, what they are threatened with is urban monsters, which is modern buildings coming up in their areas, destroying the natural way of building, which these people have carried forward through possibly centuries of knowledge. And I find that this is becoming glaringly evident in practically every state. If we look at the way the Chettinars built their homes, or we look at the way the Rajasthani architecture is done, or we look at, so historically, we have had knowledge about how to build. What keeps buildings cooler? What materials, cooler naturally, what materials are more earth friendly, more environment friendly, reduce consumption of power and energy. Because this kind of architecture was developed at a time when there was no air conditioning and there was no central cooling. But these homes were naturally much cooler. What can we do about, because glass buildings are considered cool or fashionable or it's really a perception game, right? Because people don't believe that a metropolis can qualify as one if we don't have a certain kind of architecture in it. And we're dropping our ancient knowledge, we're dropping our existing knowledge, embracing styles that aren't relevant, are not sustainable, and are not manageable as well. And thereby increasing our consumption and waste and all of that. What would you say about that?
Absolutely right. I mean, we've got so many examples of good architecture in India, in tradition, that it's so important to revive those. And if you go back, there's so many lessons that you learn. I mean, the simple thing like the courtyard house in India, it facilitates cross ventilation. It allows the whole house to be cooler. But who uses it anymore? Because
I remember the Shabbat floors at home. That used to be cold, you could walk bare feet on the floor and it would actually, in the peak of summer, give you a thandak in the feet, which nobody uses anymore, very few people do.
Yeah, we were doing a project in Rajasthan now where we told the client that we'll have jali screens. So he said, ये तो आपने बहुत पुराने स्टाइल का बना दिया. And it's like, it's a contemporary use of the traditional jalis. And the reason why jalis were used is because it cools air when it passes through. And it provides provides light, shade. I mean, there's so many interesting factors, and that is why it's always there in all of Rajasthan.
How can we make all of this cool again? How can we convince new developers, new builders, governments, people that being true to tradition
We
and
need people like you.
implementing that, sorry?
We need people like you.
People like
Yeah, because in India, people, they listen to actors and they listen to cricketers. So, take this message across your fraternity and really push it through, because it is all about awareness. If architects talk, it's not going to be heard, except by other architects. So you need to do it.
Done. I shall use my next opportunity of communication to highlight this. But isn't this thought, doesn't this thought then extend itself to many other aspects that create a gap between what is sustainable, what is good, and what is important? What do you think causes that gap? I believe it's a lack of awareness.
Awareness. Lack of awareness is what causes the gap.
And a false sense of development or progress, aping the Western world.
Completely. So you got to pick up examples of projects that have imbibed tradition and then really portray them as this is the way to go, and not the glass buildings and not all these. Like you're doing another project in Rajasthan where we propose to build the entire school in stone. So the client says, वो स्टोन का डिसीजन हम बाद में ले लेंगे बिकॉज पहले वो आरसीसी ब्रिकलिंग सब कर लेते हैं और उसके बाद आप स्टोन बाहर से लगा देना इफ यू वांट द स्टोन. So I said, what's wrong with you? This is local stone, Chittorgarh stone. The site is close to Chittorgarh. You have as much stone as you want. So we told them that all the stone is already available. Why would you want to first build? So build the actual wall in stone. So he said, no, we won't find the people to build it. So we went around to the villages and we picked up people from there. And all those villages are built in stone. And they're beautiful. They use stone without cement. They just stacked so well and they've withstood centuries.
Absolutely. I mean, we have physical evidence of it all over India and the world. There's one fact that kind of opened something in my mind that I read, and I hope that it will inspire more people to innovate and think of better ways to improve their idea of progress and development, which is, India has the second largest population on the planet. I don't say the world because I think it just is an abstract term. The planet gives you, this beautiful image of this beautiful blue shape that we have seen right through our childhoods. So the second largest population on the planet that is fighting for space on 7% of the land on this planet. And in that 7%, we need to find a way to coexist with the birthing grounds of our rivers, which is our forests. Ensure that all our forests and natural areas are connected so that this biodiversity and the species that keep these forests alive remain connected and can travel and move. And human beings can learn to coexist with this biodiversity, because we all know that it's absolutely pointless for us to build skyscrapers and buildings and highways and roads if we are not going to have water to drink in the next 20 years, and if we are not going to have clean air to breathe today. And I think that there has been an alarming rise in exposing how poor our urban development has been. When we look at Chennai, we look at Bangalore, we look at Mumbai, we look at Delhi, and many other cities in the country, and we see the consequences of poor planning and corrupt conscience And I say corrupt conscience because if everybody's agenda at the end of the day is only to make money, then how is this nation ever going to progress? Because without health, we have nothing. We have river basins polluted. We have our rivers and water bodies frothing because of poor planning and just corrupt conscience. Just people who have spewing their affluence into it without even considering the consequences. And I think a lot of these realities that stare us starkly in the face are a consequence of a couple of things. One is the lack of awareness. Two is the lack of desire to create a credible livelihood. One that you can look at and say, I made money, but I did it with values. I did it from a place of knowing and believing it's going to form greater good. It's going to make a bigger difference. I'm not going to be killing my grandchild 30 years later because I made mistakes 30 years earlier. And that gap between the mistakes of the past and the horrors of the future is reducing drastically. I can't even imagine all those people who've been contributing to the hell that is breaking loose in our urban centers. I wonder what they think, when they're sitting in their homes. कि कभी सोचा नहीं था कि मेरा बच्चा बीमार पड़ जाएगा, कि उसके फेफड़े बड़े होना बंद हो जाएंगे. Their lungs will stop growing because of the air they're breathing. Or I would be dealing with my 80-year-old, 70-year-old, 50-year-old parent who suddenly has COPD. And I think it's urgent and it's imperative that we take what we are faced with not just as a challenge upon ourselves in whatever sphere of work we may be involved with. If you are a writer, communicate. If you are an actor, communicate. If you are a sports person, communicate. If you are a builder, communicate and rise up to the challenge. And I really believe that in the face of adversity and in the face of challenge, human beings are capable of doing extraordinarily good. We are able to innovate in ways that we could have never imagined. I'm sure when you're given a project that you know is going to be tough upon you to execute, but you believe in your values and you want to stick by the core principle of it, with which you address your work, it makes you innovate, right? It makes you come up with solutions. And I really believe that the young generation of this country will do that. But we have to allow them to, and otherwise, this can't remain conference room conversation. I always say Buddha did not receive enlightenment by sitting in a high-rise in an air-conditioned room. He received enlightenment under a big tree. And if we do not value the connection that we have with nature, and we do not recognize that we are not a part of nature but a part of nature, and that our existence is dependent wholly and solely on how we treat our environment, then we can't hope for a better economy or a better future.
Absolutely true. Just to put another fact in place, Mumbai city, most well-developed cities like Madrid or so many places in the world have 10 to 12% of their land under green areas, gardens, parks, all of that. What does Bombay have? Less than 0.1, which is 100th. And we say, where is the space in the city? We've got 125 kilometers of coastline in Bombay, out of which 24 kilometers are accessible to the public. So there's like 101 kilometers line which can be used and can be developed as a park across both sides of Bombay, all the way running across. Now you have developers who are crying because the rule says leave 10% open space. I think it should be mandatory to make 50% open space. You have to leave 50% open space. There are projects that we've done which have generated 150% on the same plot. In terms of garden at the bottom, garden on terraces, and garden in balconies and all of that. So 50% should be the bare minimum that you leave. You have to ensure that there is open space.
But that will only come from understanding how important their open space is. Right now,
Yes.
nobody wants to give open space. Forget open spaces, nobody wants to leave any space
That's true.
because they want to make money.
Yeah. I mean, look at the whole of Bandra, Juhu. Buildings are starting out virtually from the road.
Okay, waste management is a huge area that I've been focusing on, and I really want you to share with us because I keep thinking about the population density in an area, and then I think about the consumption of that population density, and I also wonder where all that waste is going to go. It's showing up, it's landing up in our drainage, it's landing up in our oceans, our seas, our rivers, our forests, in our intestines, our kidneys, and where not, in the form of cancer, heart disease. And we are hurting ourselves because we're not managing our consumption better and we're not managing our waste better. Tell me, Sanjay, as somebody who understands Mumbai, especially you who understands Mumbai as well as you do, what do you believe is an urgent solution on waste management solutions for Mumbai? We had Deonar burning up. We discovered that when Deonar was burning, we were burning our e-waste and we were burning plastic waste, and we continue to see it. But what are the things that buildings, development, corporations can do to improve waste management?
First is the building process itself. So there must be a rule that says that
Even
when you do
wet
it,
and
a
dry waste
building,
and segregation.
yeah, not a single amount of waste or construction debris has to get out of the site, and there are ways to do it. You're doing a township in Rajasthan where every single part of the debris is reused. Even the scaffolding is being reused to make furniture. So there's not a single thing that goes out of the site.
Do you save money by reusing?
You of course save money by reusing.
Well, we're trying to give you incentive here. So you save money by reusing. Great. Okay.
And waste management, separating all of it, taking care of it, and there are so many ways that you can recycle and use part of it back again. I mean, look at Gift City today is one of the first fully planned cities in the country that are coming up. It's been very slow because it was difficult to get people to move there. Gift City, for those of you who don't know, it is between Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. It's a brand new city, 900 acres. They've built sewage tunnels below the road on the side, which are 6 meters wide and 8 meters high. So a truck can go in, which means a road never gets dug up. Look at what's happening in Bombay. So you get a
Permanently
road.
dug up.
So again, you're wasting. All the time is
But
waste,
I
waste,
feel
waste.
that happens because of the gap between different networks. So they don't work in tandem with each other. But that's another conversation
Yes,
for another day.
But somebody needs to start.
But
doing
do you
something
think
now.
it can start with enforcing waste segregation at a building and planning level and
Absolutely.
constructing bio-waste systems? Because
Yes.
I know that a significant amount of waste disposal can be minimized if hospitals, schools, canteens and cooperative societies start building waste management plants within their
Of
compound,
course,
within
it's
their
very
infrastructure.
important. This has to be, and it has to be made a rule because in India nobody understands that it's not a rule. Then everything is okay.
No, we love
It's up
breaking
there.
rules.
It's
In
up
India,
there.
everybody loves breaking rules. Because we feel that we are the rebels, right? We think the rule is there just to make life difficult. We refuse to believe the rules exist to make life better. And that's where the problem begins and ends. We've run out of time, Sanjay. Sorry, I could talk to you forever on the subject. Yeah. But do you want to open this up to a Q&A? Do we have time for that?
Do not. Unfortunately, we
Okay.
do not.
That's it. We've been asked to shut up. Sorry.
I think one thing we should request since Eco Times is doing this is that Eco Times promises us that every day you will carry some article on recycling, on reuse, on
Can we make it
propagating
a
sustainable
can we?
architecture.
Yeah, can we? Because this is, in fact, when I was invited to come and speak here, I was very, very happy. I know this has been happening over the last couple of years. This is a very important conversation, and I think it is upon each of us, and especially more so because you host this incredible event, that you continue this dialogue through the year. give us solutions and let's collectively join hands to insist and enforce systems and just addressal of systems and help people follow rules, and that the gap between them and us minimizes to us and becomes just us, and that understanding of.
You pick up a paper in Amsterdam, and every single day there's an article on something to do with design. It could be product design, it could be architectural design, interior design, lighting, something, but there's an awareness that is created. And in India, this awareness is not there. And if a newspaper doesn't carry it, because newspapers have the maximum reach, if you don't carry it, it's never going to happen. And we get a design article once in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So that's not enough. You have to have it every day. Something small, something pertinent, something important.
Sure.
Great, we've got a promise here. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priya. Thank you, Sanjay.